It was autumn in 2015, and I was 23 years old. I'm 31 now. At the time, I was living in Lancaster while studying at Lancaster University. For those unfamiliar, Lancaster is a small, charming town in northern England. As a student, you had the option to stay on campus or find private housing in town. I chose to rent a newly renovated apartment in a nice part of the area, and yes, it was pricey. By this point, I had been studying for 2 years and was entering my third year. I had become familiar with the town's layout and felt safe and comfortable living there semi-independently, alongside two friends from university. Since my first year, I had made it a goal to improve my fitness by taking nightly runs around campus or the town. By my third year, living in the town center, I often ran with my housemate, but I preferred to run alone while listening to heavy metal during that time. I was a big fan of Deftones. On this particular chilly autumn evening, I opted to run solo. It was around 8 p.m. And with my earphones in, I started heading up to a more isolated district that led to a lovely residential area and a large green space called Williamson Park, which featured a butterfly museum atop a hill. Adjacent to the park was a vast graveyard, sprawling with different sections filled with towering yew trees, crumbling tombstones, and a central crypt overrun with leaves and ivy. What made this cemetery particularly eerie was the ruins of an old mental asylum on the other side. You could sneak into its grounds by crossing through the cemetery and crawling through a small hole in the fence, although it was ill-advised due to roaming guard dogs patrolling the derelict building. It wasn't a place you wanted to be after dark. As I passed Williamson Park and approached the graveyard entrance, something small caught my eye at the imposing gates. The tall black iron gates stood at the bottom of a winding path. I felt a slight sense of unease, but it wasn't uncommon to see people walking their dogs or enjoying a stroll in the graveyard, so I slowed my pace to a walk as I headed toward the shape. As I approached, I realized that the shape was a child, around 9 or 10 years old, sprinting toward me in a panic. She looked terrified, and I think I even saw tears on her face. I clearly remembered that she wasn't wearing a coat, just a thin dress that was completely unsuitable for the chilly autumn weather in Lancaster. She pleaded for my help, clearly desperate and fearful. She kept glancing back toward the graveyard, which was pitch black beyond the gates. There wasn't a trace of light past the path. Given the size of the graveyard, the depth of the darkness was unsettling, especially with the vulnerable child standing there at the entrance, looking helpless. I don't recall her exact words, but I suggested that I could call the police for her. I dialed 999 on my phone and put it on loudspeaker. Instantly, the girl's demeanor changed. She was visibly upset about my call to the police. She stopped crying and became angry, almost demanding, insisting that she didn't need their help. I tried to reassure her, explaining that it would be best to inform the police, even offering to walk her to the station, which was about a 20-minute trek back down the hill. This is where the story takes a bizarre and terrifying turn. Without warning, the girl turned and bolted back into the graveyard. She ran straight through the gates and into the eerie darkness, not looking back until she completely vanished. Then, everything fell silent. I was utterly spooked, standing alone in the darkened street. My mind was racing with questions. Who was this girl? Why was she all alone? What made her afraid of the police? How could she not be frightened of the dark? Who was she running to or away from? I turned and sprinted back down the hill, not stopping until I reached a well-lit area bustling with life. Safe to say, I never ran alone at night again. It's a mystery that has haunted me ever since.
Stories may end, but the fear remains. Subscribe to uncover more secrets hidden in the darkness. Until we meet again in the world of nightmarish shadows.